Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. This isn't even half of the books I read in March. Dear God. Hello, welcome, and welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. I have been very productive. It is April. It's my birthday month. But before we get too far into the month, I would very much like to do my March wrap up for all the books I read. I'm also going to kind of go through what formats I did for each of the books. I think a lot of you would also enjoy knowing that information as well. So, even though I have a decent sized chunk here of physical books, weirdly enough, I only read 2 physical books. I listened to 10 audiobooks, both ones I own or ALC copies, and I also read 5 ebooks. I am fairly certain that all the ebooks I read, they were all arcs. And I think we're going to start talking about them now. I believe at the time of me releasing this video, my latest reading vlog should be out. I'll leave a card to it, because some of these books I know will have been discussed there in great detail, actually. So for certain books, I'm not going to go super fully into it. If you want to see more of my thoughts and opinions, you can check that video. It's quite a fun one if you really enjoy watching me doing other activities like baking. Then that's a good option. So I come holding all the information I need to tell you about all the ebooks I read. But we are going to go through, I know that at least 4 of these I have talked about, one in my recent reading vlog and one in the other one. So the first ebook I read was, in fact, The First Tearing by Christopher J. Steeley. And again, when I was working on my wrap up for March for my Instagram, I felt weirded out because I swear I read this in February. And it was like, no, you read this in March. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I know for a fact I have talked about this book, I think in the first ever reading vlog. I think I just constantly kept saying this name for ages. So this one was a 4-star. I really liked it. I feel like if you're more into the kind of werewolf shifter Lycan world, you would definitely enjoy this book. But considering the fact that it's not really a world that I know too much about, I really liked it. I liked the characters. I really liked the story. It was quite high stakes, like people could have lived or died. You didn't really know. And then the way that the book finishes, it definitely leaves it off on a cliffhanger, which gets you excited for the next book. Because I'm fairly certain that this book will be a trilogy. I might be wrong, do correct me. But if you're definitely into kind of more dark, urban fantasy style books, this is definitely one for you. Now, just before we continue, all of these ebooks, I think I've mentioned it, that these were all arcs, provided either from a publisher or from the authors themselves. And the next book I read was Clashing Hearts by Evey Lyon, just like The First Tearing. Fairly certain that this book was featured in that vlog as well. And I rated this one a 4.5. Really good. It gave me really big billionaire romance vibes, as always. Very good. And she has just recently, at the time of me recording this, I don't remember the name, but she's recently announced the next book in the series, which will be following along with the friends of this couple, which I'm very excited about. But it is definitely a good book. Would highly recommend if you like billionaire romance, kind of forbidden romance as well. There's an age gap, boss ex assistant. It's really good. Now, these 2 books, I read one of them near the beginning of the month and one fairly recently. And the first one, Gracie Gets Lucky, and both of these are by Lexi Davis and Bad Bunny. Now, I'm going to just lump these together because they're both novellas. They're very seasonal. One was themed for St. Patrick's Day. It was really nice, kind of like a second chance romance. And the second one is themed around Easter. That one, I think, out of the two, the Bad Bunny one was my favourite, just because it's a very unique concept. I mean, bunny shifter romances, don't look at the top of the Kindle, you might see bunnies having fun. Editorial Lexi, hate you. Both of these books I did rate 4.5 stars. Every single thing I have read so far by Lexi Davis has been perfection. Really, really enjoy it. The Gracie Gets Lucky one I felt was a little bit tamer, but I really liked the idea of going back and forth between the two friends. It was a friends to lovers romance. They grew up together and naturally they're now lovers. I really liked it because it was kind of a different pacing, I felt. And Bad Bunny felt quite high stakes. There was a bit more danger involved and a lot of spice. I was kind of sad that there was no bunny shenanigans, if you know, you know. But I really like both of these books, and I'm very, very excited to read more by Lexi Davis. For example, I do actually have an arc of her already released book, Pretty Vicious. I am slowly making my way through it. It is very good. Dark Academia, which again, I'm always kind of like about jumping into that, because I know that quite often or not, it's not really my thing. But considering the fact I really like her writing, we'll see. Watch this space. So even though I listened to this one, and this will be us starting our audiobook, I did also get the arc of Then There Was You by S.L. Scott. And I did listen to this one. It was really good. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I definitely went into details of this one in my most recent vlog. Really, really good. Very Romeo and Juliet, forbidden romance. He's not allowed to see her, etc. And I would recommend it, though if you're the kind of person that is very much against narrators in general who sound very, very scripted and don't really have that much emotion in their voice, maybe go with the ebook. And I talk about that in the vlog. But regardless, still a very good book. But yeah, let's get cracking with the audiobooks I listened to. So obviously we've already said I did Then There Was You. But the very first audiobook I did listen to in March was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. I rated this a 4.5 stars, a half star higher than the first one. I definitely will be listening to the third one as an audiobook. Overall, my enjoyment of this one was so much higher than the first because I did the audiobook. I really like the banter of this one. I really enjoy Emily kind of feeling a little bit more human because she's also together with her niece. But obviously Bamblebee is Bamblebee, and give me more of his narrator, please. But I am very excited to get into the third one because from the way that this one ended, I think there's going to be a lot of fairy action in the third one. The next audiobook I listened to, so these two books I basically listened to back to back. They're both very chunky, so again, I'm very glad I did the audiobooks. So the first one was Story of My Life by Lucy Score. And then I also did Mistakes Were Made by Lucy Score. So I've owned this one for a long time. It's got very pretty sprayed edges as well. I can't actually remember where I got this one. I think probably The Works. Realistically, if it's a paperback and it has sprayed edges, more than likely from The Works. However, she's a chunky girl, and I knew that with me receiving the ALC for Mistakes Were Made, there was no way I was going to get through this before listening to Mistakes Were Made. So I did pick up the audiobook, and again, I'm very glad I did because the narrator was fantastic. The story of this was great. Very grumpy ex-sunshine. Really, really fun. Very much a found family, small town romance. And it is about a writer writing about a small town. It is very cute. I rated this one a 4.5. And then I would have rated this one a 5. However, in the story, I kind of feel like I skipped, or I don't know what it was. So this book has really good ADHD rep. So the main character eventually gets told that, oh, do you think you may have this? And she's kind of like, oh, isn't that a thing that younger boys get? Which is kind of the stigma. I know, because I am the same. But I feel like I kind of skipped over the section where she went from being told to having medication. Now, I can hear you. Bexy, it's a story, it's not real. It's a story, but that kind of thing is a real thing. And I don't know, it just kind of went out my head like, she didn't have to wait a couple of years or more to get diagnosed and That's a personal thing. But I did love listening to this book. I loved Zoe, who's the main character of this one. And I really liked Gage, who was the brother of the first protagonist, which was great. I did really like it. But I do think if I was to put the two together, I would be slightly biased and say I did prefer this one, just because of the representation. We need to see more of that in new books, right? But yes, very good books. I'm flying through these. Oh my goodness. Ha! The next audiobook I'll listen to, now I'm freaking so happy that I can finally say as of March 2026, I have now finished the Folk of the Air trilogy. I got through The Queen of Nothing. I finished this in one day. I didn't realise it was really short. I didn't realise, like even then, it's just shy of 300 pages, which again, for me, that's kind of like a perfect size. It's a little on the shorter one for me nowadays. But the audiobook, I think I mentioned it online, it felt like I started the audiobook and then it finished. I was like, oh, okay. But I really like the story of this one. Naturally, you're finally seeing Jude kind of come into herself, trying to get back into the realm of Elfheim, and then seeing how she kind of handles Cardan. They didn't really leave off on the best of terms. So I would definitely recommend this one for people who really like fairy, folklore, etc. And I rate this a 5-star, before I forget. And I will be, probably more so towards the beginning of the year, I will be looking into reading, maybe listening, since I've never done the listening to it, The Stolen Heir, The Prisoner's Throne, and of course, what is the name? How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. Obviously, this is also by Holly Black. Need to always remember authors' names. If I don't mention an author's name, take a drink. You're all going to be drunk at the end of this. But yeah, very good book. Now we're down to the last 3, me having prompts for them, because there's a couple of audiobooks I'll just have to add an image to. But the next one was, of course, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. And I gave this one a 4-star. I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited to read Mate. Don't know if that'll be within April, maybe at least May. Mate. It kind of works out. But I did really enjoy the story. You're following along with Misery. She goes into a marriage of convenience to try and help bolster the alliances between the vampires and the Wers. And she is going in with the intention to try and find basically her sister, aka her best friend. They grew up together, so they're pretty much as family as can get. But I know I talked about the word a lot in my latest reading vlog. You can see my other thoughts on this one, but really, really liked it. And then we have 2 books I still have props for, and these were my most recent audiobooks I listened to. So not only did I get Twisted Games done, but I also got Twisted Love done. So my original plan was to skip this one and go straight into this one. However, because during the time I wanted to read these, I was very busy with baking, and I decided, hey, you know what, screw it. I'll go with the audiobook. So I figured, get this one done. And since I have now finished this one, which, my bad. Now I finished this one, if you know, you know. I am very glad I did this one first, because I feel like if I had went straight into Twisted Games, I think the moments we have from this book would have made sense. But yeah, these are obviously the 2 first books in the Twisted series by Anna Huang. This one I rated a 4.5 star, and this one I rated a 5. I think I'm in agreement with everyone saying that this one is just a bit better than this one, but I really like the story of this one. It's following along with Bridget with her bodyguard Reese. This one's following along with Ava, who is the brother and sister of one of the I believe he's going to be one of the next characters we follow along with, Josh. I'm very curious. But we're following along with her while she's being quote-unquote looked after by her brother's best friend, Alex. I would definitely recommend reading these. I'm very excited because I'm hoping, fingers crossed, touch wood, that I'll get to Twisted Lies in April. Now, the final 2 audiobooks I listened to, I don't have props for them. The first one was My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. I'll tell you something. Even though I did rate it a 4.5 stars, that book was twisted, it was gripping, and I was like, what the heck is happening right here? A typical Alice Feeney book. So the kind of premise of that book is a woman goes off on a run, and then when she gets back to her house, she opens the door and she sees a woman that looks kind of similar to her. And she's saying that she is the wife of the woman who just came back's husband. And it kind of spirals from there. But you're getting, throughout the story, you're getting the different points of view, which I love to see in a thriller. But it just got twisted and twisted and twistier and twistier. And I'm very, very glad I did the audiobook because there's multiple different voices for all the characters. Really, really enjoyed it. And the way that the book ended, oh my god. But it is making me really want to read other Alice Feeney books. If you have any recommendations, do let me know. Because the other books I've read from her right now is Beautiful Ugly and Rock, Paper, Scissors, which that one was the first one. But if you have recommendations, do let me know. And then the last audiobook I listened to, even though I did receive an ARC for it, for being part of a release date tour, was You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Drews. Now, at this point, I don't think I need to keep saying I love her. She's one of my all-buy authors. That book was twistier and crazy because it also helps that it is more of an adult horror, whereas some of her other books are more young adult aimed. So it could obviously be a bit more twisted than normal. But I'm very glad I did the audiobook because it was really beautiful and it was very, very gripping, and I just didn't want to stop listening to it. I think I even listened to it start to finish on the day it released. If that tells you anything about how good the book is, I don't know what will. But it was obviously a 5-star. Really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend any books by C.G. Drews. She is just, I don't know what it is she drinks. Girl, tell me what you drink because I want some. But all of her writing is just beautiful. So definitely recommend. So I'm going to go through these last ones very quickly because I'm fairly certain I did talk about them quite a bit. But these are the last 2 books I read, and they were the only physical ones I read. So we have The Intruder by Frieda McFadden. I rated this one a 5-star. I really, really enjoyed it. Really, really twisty. Very quick read. So this was kind of a book I was reading off and on during my very busy baking week. But once I actually got down to sit and read it, I flew through it in like a day or 2. It's very, very short chapters, very typical for Frieda's style of writing. And I really like the overall plot, the twists that we get in this one as well. Very, very good. Because this one is also having a point of view change from a now timeline to a before timeline. And if you like those kinds of books, would definitely recommend it. And the last book, this was one of my favourite books for the month, and of course that is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borson. Another 5-star. But yeah, I really, really liked this one. It made me feel like I was getting a nice warm hug, especially during the setting, which is in a storm, a wintry storm. And of course, this is following along with Jackson and Delilah, who are going off to report on a very big weather front that's coming in to their location. And of course, things happen and they get to, have a little bit of one-on-one time, if you know what I mean. But I love this book. Again, very much a family, found family, really, really good dynamics between all the characters. Not even just the main ones, the side ones as well. Very, very fun. So yeah, really enjoyed this. Now, I've left my favourite book of the month to last, but I didn't want to show my favourite until the end. My favourite book of the month was, of course, Highland Hideaway by Lily Gold. I'll tell you something, guys. I don't think there's been a book that has topped that book this year for me so far. which is wild because I've read such incredible books this year. But this book has lived in my head rent-free since reading it. And again, when I did my wrap-up on Instagram, I couldn't remember it was being at the beginning of March. I was like, what the hell? So it's a why choose romance. It's about a girl, an influencer who goes up to Scotland and she's facing some difficulties in her life and she has to stay in this cabin where some Scottish men reside and look after her. And it kind of just goes on from there. I freaking loved it. It made me cry, it made me laugh, and again, kind of like mistakes were made. There was incredible representation of ADHD in this book. And to the point where I was reading it and I was like happy tearing up. I was like, oh my God, that is me. There was also even other representation of kind of like OCD. There was chronic pain, like a little bit of depression, that sort of stuff too. It was a fantastic book. And obviously the spice was spicing. I was like, okay, I am all in for a Scottish why choose, right? But it was so good. And again, I keep forgetting that I finished it in the beginning of March because I know I started it in February. I think that's where my confusion came in. But I think it was like the first book I finished in March. But yeah, that is everything I did. I feel like that was like a nice quick little wrap up, which is good. I don't want to make things go too long, otherwise we'll be here for years. So do let me know what your favourite book that I read in March was. Obviously, my favourite was Highland Hideaway. Have you read any of the books as well? If you haven't, which one do you think you'll read? And do let me know if you have any ideas for what you want to read in April. Now, obviously, I think people enjoy leaving little emojis. If you want to let me know that you were here and you don't know what to comment, leave a Scottish flag. I feel like because Highland Hideaway, it was based in Scotland, leave a little Scottish flag. It'll also make my little Scottish heart happy. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.